Hey guys, today I'm going to go over my top 5 2020 fantasy breakout tight end candidates. At number 1, I've got Tyler Higbee for the Los Angeles Rams last year. He had 69 catches for 734 and 3 touchdowns over the final 6 weeks of last season. From weeks 12 to 17, he was actually the number 1 overall tight end in fantasy. In that stretch, he had 10.3 targets a game. He had 4 straight games over 100 yards receiving. And you look what the Rams did last year. They kind of shifted their offensive philosophy to revolve around Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee. And it depends what carries over to this year, but you have Brandon Cooks is gone in Houston. You've got Todd Gurley gone to Atlanta. And I just think that opens up a lot of opportunity and a lot of potential for Higbee if they continue that same offensive philosophy from last year. The Rams have always been a pass heavy offense. And even though Gerald Everett will probably be back, I don't think you can deny the breakout from Higbee last year and look at his potential this year. He's my number 1. At number 2, I've got Mike Gesicki for the Miami Dolphins last year, 51 catches for 570 and 5 touchdowns. In the second half of the year, weeks 9 through 17, he was the tight end 7 overall. Now, if you look at Miami's offense last year, they were missing a lot of pieces. They didn't have a run game. They had a couple receivers out. Preston Williams was out with injury, and so it was really revolving around Parker as their number 1 option. Now they did add a lot of pieces in the offseason through the draft and free agency, but I just think Kosicki's going to be the number 2 option because you look at what they drafted him to be. He had some of the best numbers ever at the combine for a tight end. This guy is 6'6", 250. He actually ran a 4.55 40, which is the best ever for a tight end at the combine. He had a 10.9 broad jump, vert jump of 41.5 inches. So this guy is an athletic freak. And he showed to be a valuable option in the offense last year. And this year, there's a little bit of uncertainty with Fitzpatrick or Tua. I think they'll start off with Fitzpatrick. And I think Gesicki gets off to a hot start. I honestly think he's going to be the number 2 option in the offense. I know they brought in Jordan Howard and Matt Breida, but the other thing I look at too is Miami's defense has been significantly improved. They got Kyle Van Noy from New England. They had a couple of good draft picks. They signed a lot of guys in free agency, and I think the best offense is a good defense. The more you can keep your offense on the field, the more of a chance you're going to have to win. So Gesicki, real big opportunity this year. He's my number 2. At number 3, I've got Hayden Hurst for the Atlanta Falcons. Last year on the Ravens, he had 30 catches for 349 and 2 touchdowns. So here's a guy who was traded for. The Falcons gave up a second round pick to get him. And Hooper's in Cleveland now, so there's a lot of vacated targets here. Throughout Matt Ryan's career, he's shown heavy dependence on his tight end. And, I'm looking at Hayden Hurst. There aren't really a lot of stats. I can't sit here and tell you this is what he did last year, but there's a huge opportunity. I think in the most fantasy redraft leagues, he'll go undrafted. And I think he just presents a huge value just stepping in to be that number 1 tight end in Atlanta that no other player is really going to threaten his starter status if you look at Atlanta's depth chart. So to me, Hayden Hurst, number 3, lots of opportunity stepping in this year for the Falcons. At number 4, I've got TJ Hawkinson for the Detroit Lions last year, 32 for 367 and 2 touchdowns. Now, of course, he had that huge week 1 last year. I know I bought him in my league off of waivers, but then he pretty much did nothing after that, unfortunately. But you look at the Lions last year, or you look at the Lions overall, they never have a good running game. They're a super pass-heavy offense, and Matt Stafford was out half of the year last year. So I think this year, clean slate coming in. Hawkinson's second year. This guy is 6'5", 250. Matt Patricia's on the hot seat. He's been with the team, I'm not sure, 4 or 5 years now. I mean, they've got to win now. I think his job is in jeopardy. And with that being said, they're going to play to their strengths, which is passing the ball. They did sign Jesse James, tight end in the offseason, but I really think that there's going to be plenty of opportunity for Hawkinson this year with a healthy Matthew Stafford, and he's my number 4. And at number 5, I've got Jonnu Smith for the Titans. Last year, he had 35 catches for 439 and 3 touchdowns. So last year he stepped in when Delaney Walker went down. I mean, you can make the argument he didn't really break out or impress that much, but he did have an 80% catch rate. But I'm looking at this team this year. Corey Davis has been a massive bust. A.J. Brown is our number one go-to target in the passing game, and of course the whole offense revolves around Derrick Henry. But that being said, with Delaney Walker gone, Jonnu Smith is going to step in and be the starter. And I think he's going to be number two in the passing game behind A.J. Brown. He's shown he's capable of making big plays. And really, I see him for about 60, 65 targets this year. So the only real downside for Jonnu, obviously, the Titans like to run the ball a lot, so he could be kind of touchdown dependent. But to me, he's definitely worth a late round flyer in a lot of drafts if you need a potential for a guy who's going to break out this year. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the video, and I'll be back soon.